Hi, my name is Thomas Gibbs with US Franchise Visa, and in this video, we will discuss the franchise opportunity with Street Corner. We've got founder of the company 31 years ago, Peter Lacola. His partner, Dan McCabe, claims that in 40 years of practicing law, Peter is his only criminal client. He enjoys sailing, Roman history, and pilots a small plane for the purpose of conducting work in the franchise. Peter, thank you for being on the call today.
I wonder how many of your clients you've introduced as their criminal background as the introduction. That's quite an introduction.
Yeah, it certainly is. You're going to have to tell us a little bit about that.
Yeah, I do think it probably needs some explanation. And the explanation is this: I started in high school in upstate New York in business for myself by peddling hot dogs off a push cart in the city of Poughkeepsie, New York. And I sold hot dogs on this cart Thursday through Sundays, 9 at night till 5 in the morning outside of a nightclub, which was pretty lucrative because all the bar attendees, the drinkers, if you will, came out and they just loaded up on hot dogs. And I did that to pay my way while attending college and high school, for that matter. Started as a senior in high school. But for some reason, whatever I was doing was disliked by the city manager, and he had me arrested 7 times. Dan McCabe, who eventually became my partner, I knew originally as a professor at my college. She taught business law, real estate classes. I took all those classes. He was also a practicing lawyer, and I used him as my defense lawyer on this. And that's the reference. That's 40 years I was his only criminal client.
Absolutely. Yeah, well, some folks have the entrepreneurial blood in them and some don't, but obviously you've got it through and through, so that's great to hear.
I suppose I should point out also that we prevailed on all but one of the 7 times I was arrested.
Oh, okay. What happened on the one that didn't go through so well?
I ended up paying a $25 fine. Briefly, it was an ordinance that didn't allow you to remain stationary in the streets or sidewalks of Poughkeepsie unless making a transaction. And my defense was that I was operating out of a parking lot, but I had one leg of an easel, which had my menu board. One leg of the easel was on the sidewalk.
I bet you never look at an easel the same way again.
Well, the arresting officer kept referring to it as a weasel. He referred to it as a weasel. Yes. So that's what I think of when I see an easel, is weasels.
Yeah, for sure. So tell us, 31 years ago, how did everything get started? Give us the who, what, when, where of the opportunity.
Well, so I was peddling hot dogs in the streets of Poughkeepsie, and at that same time, there was a major enclosed mall being opened up in Poughkeepsie, the Poughkeepsie Galleria, Pyramid Company Mall. And I decided that I had enough of working on the streets and the cold and the heat and the other elements that you would expect on the streets at night. And decided that I was going to move my operation into the new mall. And so I approached the mall, actually ended up partnering with Dan at that point. We concocted the idea of Street Corner Cuisine, which was a hot dog store, a food court store based on the street theme of what I had been doing for the past 3 years. And we made a deal with the mall, but in the last moment, the mall backed out of the deal. I was disappointed. We had mechanicals and engineering drawings all done, and I had told everyone that we were going to be in the new mall. I was 20 at the time. And I ended up looking for other opportunities, new malls that were being built in the country at the time. That was 1988, 87. and Westridge Mall in Topeka, Kansas was opening up. So I packed up my Buick and drove to Topeka and opened our first street corner cuisine in Westridge Mall in Topeka. And I've been here ever since. But in the meantime, shortly thereafter, we developed our first convenience store, Street Corner News, in the mall. That was developed within 6 months of opening the restaurant. The restaurant has since gone by the wayside, but our convenience store operations have grown. And most recently, we've grown from doing predominantly mall stores to now doing what we call urban superettes and also gas stations. And those are some pretty unique products in the market right now.
Awesome. Okay, so it sounds like there's multiple offerings with Street Corner. What are maybe some of the differences in terms of size or opportunity?
There are significant differences. While they're all convenience stores, there's big differences in terms of investment levels and costs, and in the venues and the markets that they serve. So mall stores, which we continue to do, are located in the prime locations of a good mall. We're only interested in Class A malls, malls that are doing $350 per foot in sales, per square foot in sales, the malls that are at least 700,000 square feet, malls that have at least 85% occupancy rate. And we'll take only locations in and around the food court, the most prime part of the mall. They still do very well. They're easy to operate, and they have a relatively attractive investment level. You can build a mall store out turnkey with inventory, franchise fee, construction, all these items for about somewhere in the $100,000 to $150,000 range.
Oh, that's really reasonable for an opportunity like that. Most of the time, any kind of food operation is substantially more.
Right. Well, the mall stores don't have prepared food. They may have packaged foods. They have all convenience items, and they cater. Really, we designed the store to cater to the mall employee. And once the mall employee is frequenting our store on multiple occasions throughout the day, the regular mall shopper is sure to follow.
Yeah, for sure. Oh, that's smart. Yeah. So essentially, that when we put one of those locations in, that you're already going to be attracting just the employees of the mall. And then also you'll have customers that are obviously coming in and patronizing the mall, and great.
What I like about that is that we're relatively busy throughout the entire year, where most mall retailers are making the majority of their sales and profits during the holiday season. Our sales are relatively stable. In fact, February and September are our traditional slowest months, and of course, August and December are our busiest months, but they only vary by 20, 25%. And that's not true with most other mall retailers. The gap is much bigger. And the reason for that is because we do so much business with the mall employees. They're there regardless of what the traffic is in the mall.
Okay. What about some of the other models that we've got?
So the Urban Superette is a new model for us, about 2 or 3 years old. We are very excited about this format. There's some demographic changes that are happening in this country for the good of the country, in my opinion, and we are riding those coattails, actually being part of that. And that is, in most every city in this country, they're seeing a resurgence of their downtowns. The downtowns are doing very, very well. People are moving back into the city. People want to live in town itself. And as people are moving back into the city, they're finding that they like the city life, but often there's no easy access to groceries or convenience items or even quick serve food. And so we have a model. It's a bigger store. It's about 2,000 to 3,000 square feet. It's located in these urban environments, and it has all those elements: grocery, convenience, quick serve food. We do food preparation in these stores, paninis and pizza and parfaits and salads. There's walk-in beer caves, so we have beer and wine. We have cheese items, those type of things, and it's done in a beautifully designed store. We really spend a lot of time and effort in making it appealing It's not what you would think of as your typical dusty convenience store. This is much more than that. I'd invite people to go look at some of the pictures on our website. So that's the Urban Superette. It's a higher volume store. It's a higher cost store. The investment level in a store like that is in the $400,000 range. It has food service equipment, which brings the cost up, but it's a much more sophisticated operation. And then moving up the investment food chain, so to speak, would be our new gas station format. We have our first two coming online here shortly. We hope to have one here opening in the next year, probably in Fresno, which will be from the ground up construction, brand new store, 4,000 square foot store. And we have a conversion that's happening right now in Folsom, California, from an existing gas station, not ours, converting it to a street corner gas station. And our gas stations will be significantly different than what most people are familiar with in the marketplace. We will use the Urban Superette format for the store, so a very highly developed, very well designed operation with a quality food service program, something that most convenience stores are lacking. Our goal is to make it a store where people would actually drive to get a sandwich. That's not something you would typically find in most convenience stores. My experience in most convenience stores, you would eat at there only because you had to get gas and you were hungry, and why not just get something to eat? But if food service is done correctly, people might drive there purposefully to get a sandwich. Why not? And then we employ some very interesting technology in the gas stations. Aside from self-checkout, all our stores have self-checkout, which I think is important in today's labor market. But it also has something that is highly unique. Our gas stations have the ability that at the pump, you can order whatever you want from inside the store, be it a sandwich, a Snicker bar, an Aquafina. You can order it while you're pumping gas, pay for it with the gasoline, so you have one transaction. And then you can either enter the store and pick it up. It's already paid for. You just grab it. Or if we're able to build a drive-through, you can drive through the building and pick it up at the drive-through window. Again, it's already paid for. There should be no delay to do that. And even more sophisticated, we have the ability to have an overhead carrier that brings the product to the gasoline island, and you can just take it out of the door.
I never thought I'd have a butler at the station.
Yeah, actually, I like that. Maybe we could trademark that into that aspect. Your convenience butler.
Yes, yes. Yeah, I won't charge you any royalty for that. Feel free to use that term all you want. So,
Well, thank you. But now that I'm
no,
thinking
that's
about it,
awesome.
maybe convenience caddy might be better.
Yeah, that's a good one too. I like that. I like that. Cool. Okay, so tell us then. It sounds like part of the mission and the vision of the company is, to what's the words of Peter Drucker? Marketing and innovation, right? Those are the two keys to any business. Would you say innovation is a big key of what you guys are trying to do in your mission?
I think innovation, I feel like we've reinvented the company. I feel like a startup in some ways, even though we're a 31-year-old company. These new product lines, while still convenience, have required a whole new rebranding. And in fact, we have a brand new website. We've updated our logo. We've changed all our copy, all our marketing, all our back-end software has changed. Yeah, we've completely redone everything within our company from top to bottom, and it's kind of interesting. It's not something you would expect from a 31-year-old company, but you have to change with the times. Mall stores, certainly everyone's aware that some of the problems that some malls are having, and it's true. B-class malls are suffering in this country. So we stay with the good malls, and the good malls continue to do well. But if we're going to grow significantly, we want to look at other markets. And I'm very excited about the downtown urban superettes. And I think gas stations are going to be extraordinarily good for us as well. They have a much higher price point, but there really is very few players in the franchise convenience store, gas stations. You have 7-Eleven and perhaps Circle K, and that's about it. That's about it. And 7-Eleven being the big player, while they have some interesting programs, there's a lot. It's not for everyone. It's not for everyone. So I think we offer an alternative.
Yeah, certainly. 7-Eleven obviously is very large, but it's definitely not right for everyone in terms of the ownership structure that franchisee would inherit. That's for sure. Tell us a little bit about the training initially and the support that's ongoing.
Well, we do significant training, and it's more than just the training. Actually, even before we get to training, we are extremely involved in the development of any particular site. Um, we won't approve a site unless one of us, most likely myself, will go out and visit the site. We'll visit it. I just came back from California, where I've now been to the Folsom property twice before the construction has actually even started. So we have to physically approve the site. It's a site that in most cases we find most of the real estate first and approve the real estate before the franchisee even speaks to us. Then we typically negotiate the lease. We work with our designer will design the store. We will then take the finished plans and manage it with the contractors, with the city, with the landlord if there is one. Most cases there are. We will arrange for all the purveyors of equipment and building supplies. We'll manage the construction to the point of the store is ready to be merchandised. Then we send out a team to the store. We'll merchandise the store and train the owner and the manager at that store rather than in our office, which is always, I thought, it's more expensive to us as a franchisor. We have to incur all the travel costs. But I think in the end, it develops a better training system because they're being trained at the store they're actually be running.
I completely agree. It's really rare that the franchisor will actually have a spot picked out. So, um, are we understanding it correctly that essentially, if we wanted to open a spot in California, you'd already have the location approved?
We have about 1,700 locations that we've done a preliminary vetting of. And it would be unlikely that any prospect in the United States and outside the United States, but particularly in the United States, couldn't name a city, then we wouldn't have a handful of potential locations that they could look at right away.
Wow. Wow. I'll spare everyone the details of telling you a few horror stories of clients in the past that have gone through a long real estate process with a franchisor, but I can't stress how vital that is in the process. If you're doing retail, brick and mortar of any type, having the location already found and approved and scouted out, not only by the franchisor, but the founder, that's a significant advantage. So if you're out there looking for the right opportunity, that might just be something to have in the back of your mind is, okay, if this turns out to be the right opportunity, whatever it is, where is this actually going to go and will it be approved? So Peter,
Yeah,
that's huge.
I am aware that many, if not most franchises will approve a franchisee, tell them what kind of location to look for, and once they get it, to come back. And frankly, I'm a little envious of them because
I'm sure.
because we put a lot of work into it. We're talking to real estate agents and mall leasing agents all day long, just maintaining the files, just having the file system to maintain it, keep it updated. And that's not to mean that someone calls from Dallas, Houston, Los Angeles, whatever it is, we certainly will have a good handful of good locations that we've approved, but we still at that point have to negotiate the lease and make sure that the location is still available. Some of them age out. So there can still be a delay, or it could be right away. It depends on how fresh the product is that we have and how current it is, but at least we have a starting point.
Oh, absolutely. Yeah, we could probably make a whole call just about that. And I could tell you some scary stories that have happened with clients in the past that drag out the opening a long time,
Yep.
months and sometimes over the course of a year or more. So,
There is a reason, by the way, we do it. The reason is we think all of our locations are extremely location dependent, and we want to maintain that control. We want to make sure that we're getting the very best locations. Now, there are times that franchisees come to us and say, we have this location ready to go. That's great. It saves me a lot of effort. I still have to go approve it. But most people don't have a location when they call us, and so I want to make sure that we have locations that we already know make sense.
well, perfect. Well, again, that's a huge advantage. So obviously, as a E2 visa potential or an EB5 potential franchisee, that's going to be a big advantage because you're already going to have those territories and areas picked out. Are there other opportunities like a master opportunity or something like that that maybe you already have or might be able to talk about?
Yeah, well, you're right. So we, on our E2 visa folks that are interested in doing an E2 program to enter the United States, it's certainly nice. We had, by way of example, a fellow from Australia that I've been talking to. He came and visited Orlando a few months ago with brought his family. Because I already had 5 or 6 locations, we were able to quickly do a big tour of everything, and we could narrow down on one location and proceed from there. Uh, if we didn't have that, he would come to Orlando, and I'm really not sure do what. I mean, if he didn't have a location to see. But actually, spurred on because of the anticipation of this call, I started thinking of an avenue that I had not contemplated before, and I probably should have, which is our territory development program could be an ideal product for E2 visa people. In fact, in many ways, it might be even better than building a store, because the problem with the E2 sometimes is a chicken and egg thing. The E2 process wants to see substantial investment made in the store before they get approval. How do they do this? Sometimes can be a timing issue. And as you know, as a broker, there's always pitfalls in a deal. There's something that could break down. A landlord could change their mind at the last minute, or I don't know. There could be a variety of different reasons why a deal may not go through, and that could leave, especially an E2 visa prospect, in a lurch. But if they were buying a territory, and this is something that we've only recently started offering, we have never, all in our 31 years of history, we never sold territories. We always sold independent stores. But in the past few years, with the addition of the urban superette and the gas station alongside with our mall stores, territories now make sense because we have a density of opportunities that did not exist before. So take Florida by way of example. We might have had, in Florida, the state of Florida, we may have had, maybe a dozen good malls in Florida that we would consider. But now, adding in the urban superette and gas station, you're now looking at 100 locations that would make sense in Florida, maybe more. So Florida now becomes, and I'm just using this as an example, this is true probably in every state, a very viable territory development program. And the nice thing about a territory development program is they can, E2 prospect can make it contingent. We can strike the deal, get all the terms planned out, and as soon as they get their E2 visa program, then we can execute on the agreement. If for whatever reason they're denied the E2 visa program, they don't lose any money because there was no construction, no hard costs put together. I think it could be a very viable program. And we actively are seeking masters these coming years, because with the additions of our other formats, we really want to have local representatives in an area. It's much easier to sell when you can do a face-to-face meeting.
Yeah, absolutely.
And the
Okay.
real estate too. They can search out the real estate. We now have a local representative in New Jersey, which I'm very grateful for, because New Jersey is such a complicated state in terms of real estate. Just the way the density of the cities and within the state, it's very hard to look at a lease plan or even Google Earth and understand what's going on there. Having someone there locally that knows the market is invaluable.
Yeah, absolutely. With New York City and Philadelphia being, obviously a lot of the state, that's two very different markets, and certainly good. And so when you say master opportunity, are we talking about a county, a city, a state, part of a state, any or all of the above? What would that look like specifically if we were, say, wanting to move to Miami, Florida?
We're an older company, 31 years, but we're not a huge company, so we're very flexible on the way we do things. And since the territory representative agreement, which is what we call it, is a relatively new format for us, a product to sell. We've been selling it for 3 years. We've sold 3 of them. I'm happy to talk about whatever makes sense for the prospect. And certainly whether it's a city, a county, or a state, those are all different ways of measuring it. We could do any of the above, and the pricing would be commensurate of that. Just to give you an indication, I'm thinking, we typically think of a state in the terms of a couple $100,000 for a territory, 250 perhaps for something like Florida. But it would depend on the state. North Dakota is not going to command as much price as Florida would, for instance. It would be commensurate with what the build-out opportunities are.
Okay. No, that's great. That's great to know there's a lot of flexibility there. And, there's so many different places around the country that are so desirable to live in America that, sounds like we could find something that would fit a reasonable budget and still give us the opportunity to qualify and be approved for the visa. So
yeah,
that's great.
I'm looking to sell just Dallas or just Houston area, and that would be a significantly less cost. And I think both those cities have tremendous opportunities. By the way, you could do just Orlando. Orlando alone could be a phenomenal market. Typically, what I would do is I would take the city of Orlando and then find all the adjacent counties, and that would be one territory.
Okay. All right. Well, with just a few minutes left here, what would be the general requirements for a candidate to be considered qualified? Obviously, you guys are going to talk in person and get to know each other a bit and go over things. But are there some initial qualifications that Street Corner will look for in candidates?
Aside from the financial wherewithal, obviously that goes without saying. But for the stores themselves, I would say not so many. It's pretty open. All the stores are pretty easy to operate. They don't require any special selling skills. They don't require any language skills. The product that we're selling is a product that is universally known and appreciated. So it's all of them are fairly easy operations. Obviously, the mall store being the easiest, superettes, and then gas stations. But nonetheless, they're all very, very, very easy to train. No one will have any problem operating them.
Okay. So we don't need. Well, I would say, need to have like a sales background or a marketing background or management background, but
no.
What level of hands-on involvement might you be looking for from the owner?
Well, Actually, my preference is that the owner is not the type of owner that wants to run the store or run the register all the time. That actually is counterproductive, in my opinion. If an owner or a franchisee thinks that they're making the store more profitable by displacing an employee behind the cash register, they're probably making a mistake, because their value as an owner is worth more than, you know, the 10, 12, $15 an hour it costs to have an employee. And my feeling is that if they're running the register and they're putting in significant hours, they're likely going to get burnt out, and then they develop the same bad habits that maybe a poor employee might have. They may not notice that the light bulb might be out, or they may not care that the shelves are dusty. It's much better that they take more of a supervisory role. And it's absolutely fine that they run the register from time to time. In fact, I enjoy doing it myself. I kind of like the rhythm of a fast store, but it's not what they should be doing all the time. It should be a smaller part of what they're doing. You asked about qualifications. I do think that the master, if someone be involved in a territory rep, though, should have a personality that would be suitable for that. They need to have a significant amount of enthusiasm, because they are eventually going to be in sales. They have to sell stores and develop stores. You know, you and I are talking about territory representative agreements. I suppose your audience should know and understand what that means. It's not just a territory that is guaranteed for that owner, and it is that, but it's not just that. It allows them also to sell stores to other franchisees and then share equally 50-50 in the royalties and the franchise fees that those stores develop. And we have stores that are 30 years old. So the beauty of being a master franchisee is that you're collecting half those royalties on a weekly basis for as long as that store remains a street corner. Could be 30, 40 years. It could bring you up through retirement. So if you build out a network of stores in your territory as a territory representative, you collect half the franchise fees and the ongoing royalties as long as that store exists, and you've developed 10, 15, 20 of these stores, you're in pretty good shape.
Yeah, yeah, no kidding. Yeah, thanks for the additional explanation there. In franchising, those are becoming harder and harder to come across quality opportunities. There's lots of franchises out there that'll, you know, sell you a big territory and give you an opportunity to develop something, but then kind of leave you out to dry. And, you know, that's where, you know, a company like Street Corner, or coming to a consulting firm like US Franchise Visa can really help differentiate between those that are going to be worth considering and hold their weight, so to speak, in franchising.
Well, I like that model. I think they effectively instantly become a franchisor in their own right. It's just a defined territory. And they are able to take advantage of our 30 years of history, everything that we've developed, all of our software, our selling tools, our knowledge, and we work hand in hand. I just spent last week with two of our master franchisees and our third potential one in California, and I talk to them every day. Every day I talk to them. And I'm very excited about it, because you have local people selling and supporting local stores, and it just makes a better business model.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Well, Peter, we appreciate you being on the call with us today. If you'd like to learn more about franchising, you can visit us at usfranchisevisa.com. And Peter, if candidates are interested, how can they reach out to you directly?
Well, they can email me directly. My email is peter@streetcorner.com. That's it, peter@streetcorner.com, or they can call me. My direct line to my office is 785-290-1021.
Great, great. Well, Peter, thanks again for being on the call today. I appreciate the information, and I'm sure our audience will appreciate learning about this fantastic opportunity.
Thank you, Tom. I appreciate it.